What's up, guys? My name is Justin. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back to talk about my first track weekend this past weekend at Road America with my Camaro Bluey. It was an eventful weekend. A lot happened, some good, some bad. Good progress was made, bad progress was made, but it was an interesting weekend and there's quite a few things to talk about. This is not the format I intended to do this video with, or these couple videos I'm going to record about the weekend. The weather was kind of messy, kind of crazy. It got pretty hairy and cold and windy, so it wasn't very good filming conditions at the track. And by the time we got back, we'll talk about that. So first of all, to start out the weekend, I want to thank my parents, my brother for coming along and supporting me and helping me get things organized, bringing some of the supplies to the track that I needed. They brought food, drinks, pop-up tent, folding chairs, all sorts of stuff to help the weekend go as smoothly as possible, because obviously I had to travel pretty light with the stuff I had to bring for the track, helmet, gloves, pants, long sleeve shirt, etc. So big thanks to them. Big thanks to some of my extended family, Mike Geiger, Erica Geiger, for coming along and supporting me and offering some advice and some tips and enjoying the weekend, and their son Kale. Huge thanks to him. He's a wonderful young man and pretty damn good baseball player too. But big thanks to him for his support throughout the weekend, and he was a great photographer, so I can't wait to see the pictures he came up with. He's a pretty talented young guy, so thanks to them, especially. Thanks to Mark Pfeffer, the head of MVP Track Time, for putting this all together, allowing us to come out and have so much fun and get on track at some pretty exclusive, pretty cool racetracks. And so that was really cool. He's a really nice guy, funny guy, and it was great to get to know him a little bit in the morning. And thanks to him for putting this all together. They have dates all over the place, but obviously Road America is my home track, so that's what we went with. Maybe we'll run more in the future, but again, we'll get into that a little bit later. Big thanks to my three instructors I had for the day. Pete in the morning for the first session, then John, and then Scott Sherrill. Funny story about Scott Sherrill. So his brother is also a fellow CFer, and I didn't know this going into it. I didn't know who he was, but we just got to talking about it, and that came up, and I've known Steve for many years, since his double lung transplant. He's been a keynote speaker at the Appleton CF walk like I have, so that was pretty cool to make that connection while we were sitting on the false grid ready to go out. So now to talk about how the day went overall. I guess the first session was a little bit eye-opening. I didn't know what to expect going into it. I won't say I wasn't nervous. I was nervous because it's a big thing and it's important, but I didn't know what to expect as far as how difficult it was going to be to actually drive the thing in real life, because although I've done a little bit of karting at GoPro and some other places that aren't as serious and understand obviously how race cars work and how they go around the racetrack, having never done it with something with fenders other than karts, it was a little bit worrisome. Not because I thought I was going to screw it up, but just you don't know what you don't know, and you have to get out there and try it, and that's what I wanted to accomplish this weekend, and thankfully we did that. I will reserve some of my thoughts on Pete as an instructor. He was fine. We just our communication styles didn't gel. And again, for my very first time ever on the racetrack with a car, I felt like my learning curve could have been a little bit better for that first half hour, but it went okay. We learned a lot. We made it on the track. We had one off at turn 5 on like my third or fourth lap, just trying to get too much of the braking zone. The entry to turn 5 in real life is much more downhill than it looks from any spectator view, or especially from in the sim. It is a very downhill crest, and you have a big braking zone, and it's very tricky to get right. It's a very late turn in if you're doing it properly, and I just could not wrap my head around that for the whole day, but again, we'll get into that later. So first session went really well. Learned a lot, had no issues, no drama. We went off, like I said, the one time, came in just to double check that the car was okay. Didn't go off into the grass or anything at all, just over the rumble strips, which counts as 2 wheels off. So we just came in, and they hadn't even marked it, so they hadn't even flagged me for being off, so that was cool. But then went out, that session went well, ended pretty well, no drama. Came in, got the car cooled off. That first run we did 12 miles per gallon, which was pretty cool for a half-hour session. And I learned a lot. Like I said, I learned basic racing lines in real life and how to get around the racetrack, and that was really cool. And so I appreciated that, and it was a successful session. And then the second session came around a couple hours later, and I had John as my instructor. Wonderful guy, very informative, very helpful and encouraging, and talked me through in slow motion a lot of things about how to get around the racetrack and how to maximize the performance of my car and trust it in ways that I didn't exactly trust it, turn 5 especially. We still had some issues getting into 5, but I felt like everywhere else I kind of worked out some lines and could put the car where I wanted to and do things correctly and understand what it takes to get around Road America for real, which is really, really thrilling and exciting. So that was a lot of fun. Still could not figure out turn 5 in this session. We tried all sorts of different stuff. I think after the fact that the car is probably a little bit under-tired, only 245s on the back, if I remember correctly. Maybe it's 245s in the front. They're not wide tires for sure. They're not track tires. They're not SS1LE tires by any means, or Viper tires or Z01 tires or anything like that. They're pretty skinny for what they are, but they provide good grip. The Toyo Extenza HP2s I had on there were great tires, plenty of grip, and didn't seem to have too much fade or wear. There was no sidewall blistering or anything like that, so that was great. Still could not just figure out getting on the brakes for turn 5. We were braking. I was pussyfooting it. I was braking at about 700 meters, yards, whatever you want to call it, the 700 brake marker, which there isn't actually a 700 brake marker. It only goes up to 500 because most cars can brake at 500, maybe 600 and just eyeball it. But I could not get stopped in the 5 to save my life, which was really frustrating. And so I couldn't really make a lot of progress there. But we figured out kind of what I need to do right at the end of the session. We put one good lap together right at the end before the checkered flag, and I was pretty happy with that. And I was excited for the afternoon. But that's part of it, so I learned a lot. And then we had our lunch break, and I kind of did some watching of some other run groups go out, the advanced guys, see what they were doing in the 5, and did some other studying, hung out, had some lunch. So again, thanks to my parents for bringing all sorts of food and drink and stuff to that. And then we went to the third session of the day in the afternoon, and I had Scott as my instructor, and again, great guy. We had some great conversation on the false grid and talked through kind of what I wanted to accomplish, what I wanted to learn, and how I was going to improve with that. And went out and had some awful brake shake on the first lap, and it got worse in the second lap. We decided to come and pull into the paddock and try to diagnose it and look at it and figure out what was up with it. And he was not familiar with the EBC Blue Stuff pads that I had on the car for the weekend, and wasn't sure if it was pad bedding. Wasn't sure if it was some overwash on the pads from blistering or heating them aggressively against the rotors or anything like that, and he feared it may have been a warped rotor, which is really bad. I still have not been able to diagnose that yet, so that'll come in the coming days. We'll figure that one out and see what's up with it. But unfortunately, it was about as bad a brake shake as I can imagine. I mean, we were still going okay. It was kind of a safety hazard on his part, and I understand why he wanted to come and look at it, and I didn't know any better. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So we came in to look at it, could not definitively diagnose it. If it was just a pad issue with rubber buildup, theoretically we could have gone out there, tried to get really hard, get them really hot, and melt that off. But I don't want to take that chance if it was a warped rotor, especially since unfortunately this is a car I have to drive to work every day and have ready to rock and roll and operational. I can't afford to have it be a much bigger issue and be down for a while. So that is what it is. Unfortunately, it cut our first day short and ended up cutting the weekend short when we couldn't decide what was up with it and fix it overnight, essentially. So that was unfortunate. I made the call to kind of pull the plug and take what I learned and play the long game, play the bigger game, and move on to what's next. So unfortunate that the weekend got cut short like that. I did have a lot of fun. I learned a lot. Again, thanks to everybody with MVP Track Time, everybody that supported me. It was a great weekend, learned a lot. I hope to be back. I'd like to try different disciplines. Maybe I'd try, I don't know if I'd like to try a different track right off the bat, or if I want to try a different discipline. I've talked about doing some autocross stuff, or I don't know what I want to do for next year yet. So let me know your thoughts if you've had good times at Autobahn Country Club or with autocrosses. There is the Fox Valley Sports Car, whatever, something or another that I need to look into and see if they have some cool autocross stuff that I could get involved in 2025. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Again, big thanks, shout outs to Cole Bigelow. He gave me a lot of advice and a lot of help on brake pads and stuff and how to get the car prepped this week. And then Trent Dinkle as well, my resident Colorado GM tech. So big thanks to him. Appreciate it. Thanks to everybody in the JKR Discord that gave me support, gave me advice, gave me tips throughout the week and encouragement as things were going up and down. It was quite the week getting everything set up and ready to rock and roll. And lastly, big thanks to Luan Zekalari. I always want to say Zekarelli, but it's Zekalari. I'm still probably bitching that up completely, which is ironic given my name is Krasneski, but I only know Czechoslovakian, so sorry, Luan. But he was a huge help all week, and honestly, the past couple months, he's the one that sold me on doing MVP, sold me on how great Mark runs his operation, and how much fun I would have. And he has these awesome t-shirts, so I'll plug his channel down below, follow my line. Great YouTube thing that he does. Unbelievable channel, lots of behind the scenes stuff, not just track day stuff, but how to get audio and video equipment set up, track prep, all this stuff. And he's a fellow Camaro guy. He has a cherry red SS1LE. That's just a beautiful car and sounds amazing. And he actually wrote off a blue, I mean, maybe it's hyper blue. Luan, let me know below if your old car was hyper blue. He wrote off an SS1LE hyper blue, I think, car a couple years ago at the Kink, and has a whole video about that and dealing with Haggerty track insurance and stuff. So just a phenomenal guy, and really thankful to have known him and have him give me some tips and advice and help throughout the week. So I'll plug this down below. Follow my line. Great channel if you're interested in track day content and kind of the behind the scenes stuff that goes into it also. But lots of people, like I said, that helped make this weekend possible, and it was awesome to get out there, and I had a blast and learned a ton, and hopefully I get the opportunity to go back and try it again. Again, still have some details to work out how I want to do that. We're going to have to get a dedicated track car so I don't have this mess about rushing everything at the last minute and trying to get it all put together, but we'll deal with that when we get there. So I hope you all are having a wonderful week. Thank you for all your patience. Again, this is not the video I was hoping to make about this. I was hoping it was going to be a nice, smooth weekend with no drama, but they're race cars. Stuff breaks, stuff goes wrong, and you got to adapt and fix it and be ready to move on to the next. So it'll definitely be a learning experience all around, and I'll talk a little bit more in the next video about kind of what went wrong throughout the day. I'll have a video tomorrow that'll be kind of about turn 5 and the Kink especially, kind of my thoughts on those two corners and why they're probably the two hardest corners on the track in my opinion, and then talk a little bit about what went wrong with the car and kind of how to adjust that and hopefully be better moving forwards, and kind of my thoughts on the long term. So hope you all are having a wonderful day. I appreciate you all so much as always. I can't believe we're almost at the 300 subs. It means the world to me. So thank you so much, and we'll get back to track day content tomorrow for that second part of the recap, and then iRacing content the rest of the week, and hopefully we'll be back out and ready to rock for 2025. So that's going to be it. Until next time, as always. Bye.